We want to clarify that this episode is for general homeowner education only. While this is Lifeline Roofing Systems podcast, today's conversation with Adam is focused strictly on insurance and claims guidance from his professional experience as a public adjuster. This discussion is not an endorsement of any contractor, service provider, or company, nor is it legal or insurance advice. Homeowners should always review their own policies and consult appropriate licensed professionals for their specific situation. All right, I'm Blu with Lifeline Roofing Systems, sitting with Adam Rod at RT Loss Management. Now, Micah, you can't see on the screen, but he's sitting over here in the shadows, and he's going to be answering the questions. There's Micah. And Adam and I are going to have a conversation about the importance of having a public adjuster on your radar when you're in the insurance claims process.
I was a contractor locally for about 10 or 12 years. I ended up becoming a public adjuster because it got harder and harder to actually work with the insurance companies. So I started as public adjuster about 2 years ago, and I've done about 600-700 claims so far. If it's significant enough, they'll call, concerned because of their property. But more times than not, it takes someone, a contractor of some sort, to knock on the door and explain to them that they may have damages. They'll contact the insurance company. The insurance company is going to have someone come out, probably 5-7 days. After that, they'll probably wait another 2 or 3 weeks before getting an estimate and then selecting someone to actually do the repairs or do the full replacement.
Homeowner wants to find a qualified and trusted professional, and like we've said before in previous podcasts, vet the people. If somebody knocks on your door, just let them on your roof. They're not up there for your best interest. They're up there for their best interest. So find who you want to work with. There's somebody you trust, someone that comes with references. Maybe look at Nextdoor, BBB, etc. Have them come out, take a look, and then they look for collateral.
Yep.
They look for dings on soft aluminum if it's hail. They look for shingles that have been lifted up if it's wind. And at that point in time, because you have vetted that contractor, if they advise that you call the insurance company and file a claim, you file a claim, adjuster shows up, you want the contractor to be there, and then we start that process.
They should be documenting what their house looks like. And I know a lot of people, they won't take enough pictures. There's never enough pictures. Take as many as you can. I mean, it's not like we're in Polaroid days where you have to Polaroid each picture. You can do 1,000 plus on your phone. And if you don't need them, you can delete them. It's not a big deal. But too many times people don't take any pictures. And as time goes on, it's harder and harder to actually prove that a lot of the damages are there.
Like before and afters.
Correct.
Kind of begs and leans into, hiring a company that has perhaps a maintenance program.
Yep.
And we can get up there, take pictures of your roof, keep a steady timetable of the current conditions. So when a storm does happen, we can show the insurance company, hey, listen, this is the before and this is the after.
Yeah, I mean, if people actually, and that's the thing, if people actually treated their house like they treated their car, you got to do maintenance. You got to do oil changes. And your roof and your house is no different. And most contractors cost $0 to take a look at it. They'll do a free estimate for you as well. Mm-hmm. So it's other than you, and a lot of times you don't even have to, roof especially, you don't even have to be home. They're going to document, they're going to take pictures of video. They're going to do all the work in hopes of getting paid, but it's costing you $0.
Yeah. Granule loss is a big one, like heavy granule loss. You really can't see it from the ground. Homeowners start noticing it when they start seeing buckets of granules coming down through their downspouts. But from the naked eye, if you really don't know what you're looking at, I think that's a big one. Nail pops. People will get mystery leaks. They see all the shingles there, wondering what happened, and it could be just a nail that popped through, got rusty, and water found its way in. That's a big one. They have no idea the condition of their pipe flashings. A lot of roofers use these plastic pipe boots that tend to curl over time and allow water entry. Or the seals around the pipes.
Yeah, the grommets.
Rot. Yeah, exactly. So it's little things like that you simply can't see from the ground that you need to have a close perspective of and hire a vetted roofing company to come out and take a look at.
And also the granules themselves are zinc oxide. They're made to reflect light.
Yeah.
So you looking from the ground trying to see damage from that perspective, it's almost impossible because they're reflecting 30-40% of light depending on what shingle and what. So when you look at it from an angle, which most roofs are going to be angled, depending on the time of day, you're not going to see anything wrong.
Exactly.
And unless you get up, and I've actually, I took some pictures that maybe he can show after he does the podcast of, the progression of what hail does to a roof. Which 6 months to 12 months to a year, but you're taking a lot. The granules done. Well, there's more up there. It's not a big deal. Well, unfortunately, it's kind of like taking a sandblaster to your car paint and body. If you were to take a sandblaster to it, you could still have paint, but take the clear coat off, and that paint's not going to last very long.
That's a good point, and I know we're probably going to have to do 2 podcasts, to be honest with you, because we're going to elaborate. That's just the way it is. But this is good information. So what Adam is referring to as well is like you may have small hail hit your roof today. We inspect it tomorrow. Now, you know what? Yes, there's some small collateral, but the shingles do still look in good condition. That doesn't mean that those hailstones, if they were hard enough, didn't loosen the granules.
Right.
And now 6 months, 7 months, 8 months down the line, with a little more weathering, some more rains, those granules come off. That's where the hail damage has occurred. You might not see it at the first inspection, but we stay consistent and keep inspecting it. And over time, we may see that hail damage.
Yeah, it's almost like a slow death.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
it's a misconception because a lot of people are like, well, if it's not leaking on my head, there's no problem here.
Right.
And
exactly.
and it just gets worse and worse over time.
So it's like the question was,
what was the question?
What was the question? what
Oh, okay.
It's documenting, and then what do we look for? Signs, and how homeowners can recognize signs. They really can't. It's again having a vetted contractor come out and do annual inspections at the end of the day.
It gets harder and harder to actually identify the damages being from that particular date of loss. If you see the granules on the ground, you don't say anything, it gets harder and harder to actually prove that the date of loss is, and that was when it happened, and that's why it needs a replacement of the roof. And there's a lot of times, I've seen it to where a guy had a bunch of dogs in the backyard, and they blame the storm damage, the screens on the dogs. Mm-hmm. But in actuality, it was hail damage. Same thing with window beating. Same thing with a lot of different things. That's mechanical damage on the gutters. If you wait long enough, that's going to create that opportunity for them to say different things.
Right. Exactly.
Well, I mean, people say they're going to do a roof inspection. That never starts on the roof. They're going to start with collateral damages. They're going to go all the way around the house. They're going to go in the backyard, the front yard. They're going to look for things like we just talked about: granules, lost granules, how much gutters full of granules, 1 to 2 inches of granules in the gutters. They're going to look at window screens. They're going to look at your HVAC with the fins being all dinged in, wood fences, paint missing, garage doors. And then once they do all that, then they'll go up on the roof and take a look. But all of that collateral damages does set kind of sets the picture for them, so to speak, on what they're looking for once they get to the roof.
Adjusters that come out to the property are there to basically take the pictures and tell the story. But then the person that interprets those pictures and interprets that story is sitting behind a computer in an office cubicle somewhere, and they're ultimately the determining factor.
Right.
90% of the time these days that makes the decision on. So it's very important that the adjuster is qualified and understands what they look for and what they're looking at, and they do thorough inspections.
That falls in back with the contractor being present, because a lot of times, sometimes these folks are graded on more or less completion instead of performance, or then they're graded on how many they can get through in a given day versus the quality of their work.
And they're also compensated that way in a lot of cases. They're compensated on how many claims they run per day. So it's in their best interest to get in and get out as quickly as possible, so you can have a good contractor there to slow them down.
Right.
In the best interest of the homeowner and to protect the homeowners,
Well, you can bullet point it. You can say, okay,
exactly.
Here's damage, here's damage, here's damage. You're making their job easier. They're still going the same speed they want to go, but you're just getting the facts of it.
Navigating.
You're navigating it for them to where it just, it paints the true picture of what's going on versus take a bunch of pictures and they're on their way.
Overlooked or underestimated. Here we go. Overlooked layers, underlayment layers tends to be overlooked. The style of shingle. We actually, him and I, we just had one of these. Where they didn't identify the correct product. They had an upgraded designer shingle, not just the regular standard laminate shingle. And they're trying to pay for standard laminate. And we're having to fight and say, no, wait, this is worth more than just a standard laminate. That's another one.
Yeah, because it goes. Most policies will state that they are going to pay for the same like kind of quality. So a lot of times, what like kind of quality, it's not because they're not trying to so much, be cheap. It's just they don't know they don't have the knowledge to actually know what they're looking at. Exactly. And especially when it comes to discontinued shingles or shingles that aren't produced anymore. Unless you've been in the industry as long as we have, you're not really going to know. I mean, it looks like a composition shingle. They're not going to know that this particular shingle is this, that, or the other. Yeah.
Another one is gutters. We usually have to go back for when gutter fasteners are inside the drip metals, they have to be removed in order to replace that drip edge. So those are the things that we typically see that get overlooked in a scope of work when they do it.
Again, it's the knowledge of actually the construction process. You're dealing with somebody that's so many miles away looking from a computer screen standpoint, and if they've never really swung a hammer, so to speak, so they really don't know the construction aspect of it. So they can't justify why we're asking for or why you're asking for what you're asking.
And they're looking at line items on Xactimate and just trying to plug and play. They've had zero field experience in most cases.
There's, the best way of saying it is, unfortunately, you call an electrician, they're licensed. You call an air conditioning company, they're licensed. And those licenses, they require X amount of dollars for this, that, and the other. It has to happen. Roofing, there's no licensing.
Yeah.
So
not in Texas.
Not in Texas yet. But there's no. So they can they can actually skip a lot of different items that should be there, but there's no law governing the fact that they should be there.
Right.
If that makes any sense. So, and unfortunately, with no licensing in the industry, people can do things very differently, and they can cut a lot of corners because there's nobody really watching the actual installation process.
Right. There's no inspection.
Not like if you were to say, I'm going to get a new air conditioning system, or I'm going to get so much as a light switch fixed. There's governing bodies that actually govern that and how they're supposed to do it.
Yeah, it's crazy to me. As important as roofing is to a property, there's no governing body. There's no accountability whatsoever.
You
in
got
the
a heart
business in the state of Texas.
I always told people, if you got a heart beating a hammer, you got a chance.
That's right.
And then if you framing, roofing, it's exactly. Unfortunate truth is a lot of times that's exactly what happens if they. But without getting into great detail or getting myself into trouble. What's the next question?
It just delays the process. It's just unfortunate for the property owner when they're ready and they're prepared and they need to get this project done. It just stalls it. We have to go back out. We have to take more photos. In the case where we do have a public adjuster involved recently, he's just another step, another person that we have to go through. So it's just a delay. It's really just a time delay. Usually the insurance companies, once you show them proof of and factual, information, they'll pay for it.
Right.
But it just takes time.
And if there was somebody that would actually make the decision on site.
Exactly. That's what it used to be that
10
way.
years ago when we
those
started.
Those guys knew what the heck they were looking at, too.
10 years ago when we started in the business, you showed up to a guy that had contracting background, had actually done what we were looking at to where there was no question.
They get in their car, their vans, and they write a check. They write the scope, they write a check. It's a 2-hour process, but you get finality.
Yeah, you're
then
done.
And there. And if there's any question, you guys will look at it together and say, hey, man, you missed this on the scope. It's, oh, yeah, you're right. Goes back in his van and prints it off. And
that's the end of it.
But that's not today's world. Everybody, it's all third-party vendor adjusting for the most part.
And it's, that's one of the biggest issues I see. Is you're trying to see damage from a computer's monitor standpoint, and it's so subjective depending on the time of day, depending on who's there, depending on the quality of the actual inspection itself. It's all subjective. There's no rule book that says this is damage and that's not damage.
Which is what has created the public adjuster market.
Right.
Essentially, that's one of the reasons. But that's why it's important to have a PA. It's important to work with a roofing contractor that has a great relationship with the public adjusting company, because you're getting 2 levels of experience that, is invaluable.
Well, it's also true, and the contractor can't read someone's policy.
Exactly.
So basically, if he has to just take what they say for granted.
Yeah.
I mean,
our hands are tied compared to what these guys can do.
I can actually interpret the policy, say, well, this is what it says, and be amazed at what little knowledge a lot of them know.
And you'd be amazed of how your knowledge or the public adjuster's knowledge can hold insurance companies accountable to follow the policy by the letter, which usually it reaps bigger rewards for the property owner.
Almost always.
Exactly, So answer the question.
Yeah, I was about to say, we can keep going. I just don't want to get in a ditch.
This is great.
Open-ended. So if they accept let's just say, for example, they accept the whatever the estimate is, and they go through the process, they can always supplement. And the supplement is nothing more than Blu doing a roof or y'all doing a roof, and you open it up. You can't see everything until you actually do the roof, and you discover this, that, or the other. Long as it's an insurable issue, right, and not because of maintenance or not because of something else, then you guys can supplement for that item. But again, that creates a whole time factor, because, and it also, if they don't document it, it kind of creates a real big problem, because you just covered up the murder weapon. I mean, and we're in Houston, Texas. I mean, you're not going to leave plywood just laying out. You can't.
Right.
Liability wise, you can't. So you had to re-roof it. And if there's no pictures to show what you fixed and why you fixed it,
you're done.
I mean, you just cost yourself money.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's why it's so important to get it all right the first time.
Right.
Be very thorough with the inspection, so you can have a thorough scope before accepting it.
Because without the pictures, it never happened.
That's why it's important to have a roofing contractor there who you trust that can help you through the process and not accept a claim just because they're writing you a check. Slow down. You're going to get the roof. Let somebody, a professional, look at it.
Yeah, because once
and
coverage,
walk you through the process.
It's a misconception. A lot of people think, well, this is the money I got. That's it. That's the end of it.
Right.
That couldn't be any further from the truth. But the thing is you just delayed what could have happened from the get go.
Exactly.
And I don't know how many times people are like, well, I didn't say this, I didn't say that, and cost themselves money. But I have no pictures and no way of proving it. So I can't do anything about it.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how many times during the last few storms, electricity wise, lights went out. Their freezer full of deer meat or their freezer full of steaks ruined. They have no pictures. They have no documentation. I mean, as much as grocery costs these days, we're talking thousands of dollars. But if they would have documented the freezer being no electricity for X amount of time, they lost everything in the fridge, they lost everything in the freezer, that's a coverable expense. The insurance will actually cover for that.
I never thought of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
I'm gonna go home and take a picture inside my freezer.
I mean, after being a public adjuster, it's one of the first things I do. If there's a storm coming, I'm taking pictures of all my food. I mean, all of it.
Okay,
keep going.
Next question.
A lot of times they try to DIY a claim, like to call it a DIY, but they'll have an existing problem on something, and they'll try to rope that problem in with what happened during the storm. And it really creates a bad situation because it hurts the credibility of the actual homeowner.
Right.
So now, instead of them actually, the insurance company sees this as, okay, well, what else is there? It could lead to, well, we're not going to cover it because it's a maintenance issue. Just like the grommet you brought up. How many times you walked up on a roof and everybody loves their squirrels right up until they chew a hole in the lead pipe jack, and it causes a leak in a bathroom. And now all of a sudden, after the hailstorm, this guy wants this, and he's naming all these things. And as a contractor, I was like, stop, shush, shut up.
We'll take care of that. Just let the cause and effect be the cause and effect.
So they try to put everything into the claim they can possibly think of, but it actually hurts the credibility to the point of it maybe the claim denied.
Yeah.
I mean,
fixing it themselves. That's probably and bless their heart, because if I were a homeowner and I have windows too, but shingles flying off my roof, I'm going to go up there and fix it if I'm capable. But unfortunately, that is the worst thing you can do, is go do a self-repair, because when the adjuster comes out, they see it's self-repaired and like, oh wait, you don't have any damage anymore. You repaired it.
Well, not only that, but it also shows repairability aspect of it.
Yeah.
And you know, the unfortunate truth in our area is we have closed valley systems. What is a closed valley system? Just think of it as it's interlaced with one another. One thing can't be fixed without the other thing. So when you start doing repairs on situations, that can be seen as, well, this is a repairable item. So now where all those shingles flew off of a 25-year-old roof, they're just going to write a repair estimate. Unfortunately, a contractor like Blu, for example, will say it's not possible. We can't repair this because we're going to hurt more than we're going to help.
Right.
And insurance, and then that falls back to the person 1,200 miles away trying to do a claim with a computer screen. How are they going to know? They don't have the pictures to prove, you know, is it repairable or not? They've never been on a roof, never fixed a roof, so how are they going to know? They don't.
Right. Yeah, best thing for the homeowner to do in that instance is just call a trusted professional, have them come out, take a look at it, and advise on what the next step should be. Now, it might be a couple shingles blew off and the rest of them are perfectly fine. Then, homeowner, come on up here and fix it if you're capable, or else we can do it here on the spot. But that would be my advice.
And that's what I've told. I've told too many people that, look, I've told when I'm doing with adjusters on a roof, you know, I can't tell you how many times I've told them, I'm like, you know, I was a contractor longer than I was a public adjuster, and I can promise you they make more money doing repairs than they ever did replacing roofs. I was like, a contractor will make way more margins.
Yeah.
I mean, they want to do a repair because now they can make more money quicker, and they can go look for something else. They don't want to not maintain a roof. It's just, you're trying to ask for the impossible.
Right. It starts with a good inspection, a trusted inspection, a transparent inspection. You know, take photos. I look at, you know, you look at all of the pipe flashing, the condition of the flashings. Are nails super rusty? Are they popping up? Do you have nail pops on the roof? But I really look at the shingle itself and the pliability of it.
Correct.
When you put your hand up on the edge of a shingle and you put the corner of that shingle in your hand, if it still has flexibility and you don't hear cracking, it's got life left in it. We can maintain this roof. Let's give it another 3 to 4 years. But if it's a cracker, if I put my hand, my tool in there, I grab the corner and it snaps, it's a dead roof.
Yep.
The asphalt is completely dried out. It's unrepairable. And you're living on luck if you don't have any leaks. So that's kind of the way we look at it.
The closed valley system, like I said, if he can't get far enough underneath that shingle to actually repair it to get to the next shingle, then he's actually going to damage more shingles than he's going to help.
Exactly.
And it's just going to, I can't tell you how many times they're like, well, we're going to replace, repair, we're going to pay for 15 shingles to be replaced. Yeah, in Wonderland, but it would be great.
Right.
You can't go Alakazam and they're replaced.
Yeah.
But
in the repairman in a bottle over here, and I'll rub the bottle and then pop out and fix it for me.
But unfortunately, we don't. Without ESP and without just a genie, we can't. They're forced to. They're not going to attempt to try to fix it because it's not fixable. And and that's the point that's so hard to actually, I guess, illustrate, so to speak, is because unless you've actually worked on it and you've actually swung a hammer and you've actually done the work and been around this industry, you would not know that.
Yeah, well, first thing that we always try to extend the life of a roof. That is one thing that
Absolutely.
We as a company do. I don't know what other companies do, but we say, listen, it's a huge investment. I get it. If I get you 3, 4, 5 more years on this thing, we're going to do it.
If you replaced every roof you got on, you wouldn't be in business.
I wouldn't be standing here. I'd be drinking a Mai Tai on the beach somewhere. Like, what's up, boys?
I mean, that's maintaining the roof and actually doing the repairs and stuff. That builds more rapport. It also builds your client list. I mean, that's good for your company.
Yeah,
I mean, it's good business. Please read your policy, and I understand that it's very legal contract written, and it's very hard to understand. There's very simple questions that you can ask the person that's trying to sell it.
You know, Chat GPT.
Yeah.
Have it read it for you.
I mean, it's very simple. There's plenty of people. You can call me. You can call Chad Wilson. You can call plenty of people that would be more than happy to read it. But, you know, there's bullets that, you know, is it a recoverable cash value policy? Is it fully recoverable? Meaning that everything's recoverable except my roof. You know, they have endorsements now for roof. They have cosmetic defects without getting into great detail, but there's things that they add at the very back of most policies that if you were to read 10 to 15 pages into it, it looks good. But usually if the last 5 or 6 pages, there'll be something along the lines of, please read, this changes everything we just said. and it literally says just that at the very top of the page. And then it'll have the endorsement of, well, we're going to, a surface endorsement, your roof. So your roof is really going to be an actual cash, whereas as is condition. We're going to pay for it as such, but everything else we'll pay for as a recoverable cash value.
And that's happening more and more and more in our industry.
All day.
People are getting the letters saying, okay, everything else is covered as is, except your roof. Now it's ACV.
Yeah, and then, but that's a lot of times they can say it's an RCV policy with putting that ACV in there and get away with it, basically. Right. But another thing, very simple question. What is my deductible for a non-named storm event? That's all you have to ask. You know, and they'll tell you 1%, 2%, 5%. You can do math, and if your house was $350,000 on the taxes this year, then your 1% is $3,500. That is the money you're going to pay out for a claim.
Versus a named storm, which would be hurricanes around here, is probably 5%.
Yeah.
So there's a humongous dollar difference between non-named storms and named storm. That's an excellent point.
Yeah, and those are very simple questions and make sure when you ask these questions, not verbally, not at the deer lease when you're hunting with them, but I mean, we're going to blow up? Okay. so
you mentioned deer. I'm mad at him.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is you want to ask simple questions like that, but document everything. I'm talking about in email form. Put all these questions in email form, and you want the answers in email form back to you. That way,
they can't backtrack on you.
Well, and I've actually seen this where I was told one thing and it's another, but they have no proof of them ever being told that.
Right.
You know,
and we have an adjuster situation just like that.
Yeah,
too.
it's called it's a error and omissions. Every adjuster has that sells insurance, and basically that is just for that purpose. They sell something, they tell someone something that's not true that's on the policy, and they have insurance. They're insured. They may not have a job, but they have insurance.
Yeah.
I mean, but good luck trying to have that unless you've got it in some type of communication in email form or something. Set that they wrote, it's your word against theirs.
I agree with that. I think honestly, understanding your policy and maintaining that level of knowledge consistently year by year is extremely important. Probably the most important because homeowners fall into so many situations where we file a claim, they think they have an RCV policy, just find out they have an ACV and they can't afford
a new roof.
A new roof. And they can't afford the payment for it. So I think that is absolutely an excellent point. That would be the one thing if you take anything out of it.
I have no problem reading somebody's policy, and if you don't want to call your agent, or if your agent is unavailable, or they don't want to respond, you want a third party? Give me a call. I can look at a policy and tell you pretty quick. It's not. Yeah. I look at it every day, though. I mean, but don't get fooled. Well, you get 30% off your premiums to this, that, or the other, without reading it, because unfortunately the insurance company's gonna say, well, you did sign the policy, and I can't fight as a public adjuster. I can't fight what you signed and agreed to. And it doesn't matter if you knew it or not. I can't tell you how many times homeowners are like, well, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I've also speeded in I've got a bunch of speeding tickets over the years. And I tried. I didn't know I couldn't go that fast. And the judge always gave me a ticket. So, always.
The other second thing I would say is have a contractor you trust.
Correct.
Check your roof once a year. Just let them get on it. Give you a little maintenance. Blow off the leaves. Get the debris off. Check all your flashing. It's preventative maintenance. It's like he alluded to before. Just like your car. You have to give it oil changes. You have to do preventive maintenance to make it last. You want to do the same thing with your roof.
Well, and I always used to. I'll say one more thing. When I was a contractor, I would always tell a homeowner, regardless of who you go with, there's very simple things you can check. You can check You can say, well, what supplier do you use? Well, I deal with ABC. You can call ABC and say, hey, does Lifeline Roofing have credit? That's it. You're not trying to get a credit score. You're not trying to see, all you're wanting to know is if they have credit or if they're on cash on delivery. If it's a COD, they should be a red flag. They should have plenty of credit to pay for the roof and their actual workers and wait for this money to come in from the insurance company. Another one is the insurance. What's their liability? I'm here to. I can't tell you how many times somebody would show a liability saying they had liability, but they just paid for January. The rest of the year they didn't pay for it. They just have a binder saying they have insurance, and nobody's like, "Well, he's cheaper." Of course, he's cheaper. Why wouldn't he be? But nobody plans on somebody breaking their leg as they're replacing the roof until it happens, and now the homeowners are,
on the hook.
So I mean, it's just simple things like that when you deal with contractors, and look at the reviews. Make sure the reviews aren't related to the person. It's not their mom or their uncle or something on there. I mean, but like I said, feel free to contact me anytime. As you can tell, I do not mind talking about this business.
Let's do it again. Appreciate you coming.
Yeah,
that was fun.
I liked it.
Yeah, we could do this all day.
Oh, you've had some whiskey here. We really could be here all day.